Good morning and welcome back. Welcome back to Who Am I? My little show. I was trying to decide whether to even do a show this morning, but I've been thinking about the direction. And I think I'm going to start to de-emphasize my point about I think we've been genetically modified. And one of the reasons I may refer to it from time to time, but I don't think I'm going to make it as one of my major points anymore. Because in a way it doesn't matter. In a way it does matter, and the reason I put it in there is because it reinforces the idea the one that they make over at the movie The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It, which, by the way, you can watch on YouTube for free. Just put it in the search bar. The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. And over there, they talk about the reason that UFOs are de-emphasized in our society, the reason that we don't openly talk about them, openly admit and acknowledge them collectively as a group, especially our official selves. Why do we resist it from our official standpoint? I believe that it reinforces the point that they're demonstrating an energy source and an understanding of gravity that we pretend doesn't exist. We don't have. Nothing to see there. Don't go looking that direction. I think that it reinforces that point. So that's why I put it in there. Also, the way we were genetically modified, to me, emphasizes the design of our being. The overview mind, the plumping up of the neocortex, which gives us our range of emotion, which is, think of it like a spiritual instrument that is playing the universe. And that's why I emphasize those things. I, myself, am not interested in the gossip about exactly where we came from and who are, although I think that generally human beings ought to acknowledge the extraterrestrial factor. I think there is an extraterrestrial factor. I think the technology exhibited upon the planet in the form of architecture and like some of the way some really, really big stones were cut and set in ways that we couldn't now reproduce. I know my husband triumphantly brought to me, they know how the pyramids were made now. The Nile used to run right next to the pyramids. The river is in a different place now. But it used to run right past all the pyramid structures. And all of the stones were floated down the river. Okay, fine. I am not even gonna dispute. Well, of course the Nile used to run right next to the pyramids, and that's why they were built where they were built. And if somebody might have used the river to ferry some stones, or the stones, I'm not even going to argue with that. But that does not explain all of the structures around the world. It just doesn't. Some of them are hundreds of tons and cut perfectly and set perfectly. They didn't have cranes. I'm not sure we have cranes that would do exactly what some of these things that have been done in some of the places in the world that it has been done. And there's, like thousands and thousands of pyramids, and the geometric and spatial relationships between all of the sites and the energies of the planet and the energies of the universe and all that, we don't look at it collectively and mystically and go, ooh, I know the answer. What can we find here? We have a different attitude in our culture, in my culture anyway, the one I'm speaking from. There are mystical cultures, I'm not speaking from one of those. We need to acknowledge the extraterrestrial factor. However, as I was saying, I'm going to start de emphasizing that point. Now, I know that this show is also not what I imagined it would be. Somehow I imagined there would be followers and there would be people who would listen to me every day and would add it all up and go, oh, that's what she's saying. You know? And instead, today's attention span is, you know, it's sort of hit and miss is what I was going to say. That's a very ordinary expression. But it's like it's hit and pop, you know, and then rest in between where I might have a really good show that for some reason wasn't the one that hit. Although I don't know. I don't really listen to my shows and evaluate them. I listened to one of my shows once, but I just have faith. I have faith that I'm not specifically because I am pushing back against no one, and I don't mean to badmouth anyone either, myself included, or any particular group or any general anything. I'm not pushing back against anybody. My whole position is there is value everywhere. I call it baby and bathwater, and I admonish all the time, you know, to find the baby and don't throw out the baby when you're throwing out the bathwater, because it's not an all or nothing world. It's an aspects of the world embedded everywhere that it is your job to find the vibrational aspects that you identify with, that you find pleasing, that you want to bring forth into the world. That's your job. It's not so much it's not a conditional thing so much as the condition is still the target. You want to make the manifestation pleasing, harmonious, abundance producing, in the spirit of goodwill and fun and order. We want order, but we don't want it to have to be imposed from the outside by a set of laws and rules that we force down people's throats in order to keep the effing order in triplicate or whatever. We don't want that. We want order, but that's not the order we want. So what is the order we want, and what is my show? So what I was saying about the hit and miss, I make this announcement unto the world, and here on September, let's see, I'll remember this because I think it might be. Is it the first day of fall yet? It's getting close. It is. No, it isn't. It's the 19th. That is not the first day of fall. But on this day did I announce that I was going to de-emphasize this and I was going to emphasize this other thing. Back in the old days, like, I watch a lot of Frasier, and I don't know why. I'm not one of those who sleep to Frasier. Apparently there are thousands of them, tens of thousands maybe, of human beings out there who sleep to Frasier the way I sleep to a fan. I have a standing fan pointed at me 365 nights a year. This thing is pointed at me and I'm going to sleep. I found another thing I might be adding to it. It is called a spaceship sleeping quarters or something like that. And it's this roaring white noise sound that is just so cool. I had it on all last night for the first time, and I slept really good. Didn't get up and do a show. So I'm making this announcement that I'm going to de-emphasize the aspect of the. I may mention it from time to time, but it really isn't my point that we were genetically modified, although I find it passingly interesting. And if the collective of us actually looking into that with honesty and an open mind and not an agenda, like we look at the world and we have an agenda to keep it the same shape as, the Natural History Museums say. We don't have any of that down there at the Natural History Museum, the bit about when we were genetically modified and how you can see it in our genes, you know? All of the details of some of that crazy is not really not my piece of the puzzle to be looking at. What do I want to emphasize? What part of this do I like looking at, and do I get excited and interested in when I think about how it could change and help our situation collectively as humanity on the planet Earth? And I am assuming that there is a point, there at some point, somewhere in this equation, I am humanity. And I'm speaking from that position. And we could all speak from that position because we are all humanity. And as humanity, I have a right to speak as humanity. I find it passingly interesting that we were genetically modified, and like I said, it reinforces the idea that of the way our design is, our overview mind, our but beyond that, it doesn't really matter. Abraham never talks about us being genetically modified, and in a way, it doesn't matter. We are what we are, but it also explains to me why we do need to consciously figure this out on planet Earth. Why collectively we are not doing it unconsciously correctly, collectively. And I'll tell you why, although in a way we're doing it correctly. We are bumbling our way to where we are going. But I think we could intentionally get there just a little bit quicker, just a little bit easier, if we understood what the obstacle in front of us was. The obstacle in front of us is our own resistance to life, our own resistance to yes, our own resistance to the impetus of our own desire pulling us forward into where it is we want to go. We have resistance all over the place. Oh, that person's probably mean or dark, or they are mean and they are dark. However, they are also light, and if you would train yourself to focus on the light of each other instead of focusing on the asshole of each other, pardon my French, we would collectively and individually get a better result. And results are the important thing. So I'm making this announcement, and even though since the attention span of the internet is not the same as it used to be for perhaps a beloved radio show, where you have people that follow it every day, and if you make announcements, there's a continuity. There's an underlying continuity. I'm not sure what kind of underlying continuity I have yet in my viewership. I have no idea. But I'm going to make this announcement that I'm going to de-emphasize that aspect of my program, and I'm going to start more emphasizing the part of it that I enjoy discussing most anyway, which is the vibrational quantum unified physics from a unified physics perspective. Now, I'm going out on a limb in the sense that I am not a mathematician, although for a while when I was in college, I got really excited because I understood calculus for us. There was a semester where I really understood calculus, and I found it fun for just a minute because it was so much fun to understand it, to be like, oh, I get what they're saying. I know what they're trying to get me to do. It's like this whole field of view that they're illuminating here, and now you can work with this. You can manipulate, you can go backwards and forwards and inside and out. You can come at this from mathematics is like that. Once you understand the rules that they have set out and what framework they have described, you can go either direction and it's the same thing. So multiplying by the inverse is the same thing as dividing, or adding the negative is the same thing as subtracting, and there's the what you can put on both sides of the equation sign and keep it equal to equally manipulate it backwards and forwards and all that. Anyway, so I understood it one semester and I got very excited, and I thought maybe what I might like to be is a junior college mathematics professor. I was in love with mine. He wasn't particularly handsome. He had a limp. He walked with a cane. He he had a perm, for crying out loud, or naturally curly hair. But his mind was just so beautiful, so beautiful. And he would talk to us about, that he was sure that God was a mathematician. And every day he would share little biddly bits about how, isn't it cool how this number, the natural logarithm, for instance, shows up here, and then you manipulate this and boom, it shows up over there, and it's this irrational number that you're like, how is that even a thing? And so I was in love with him because of that. So why am I saying any of these things? Well, who am I? Someday you might ask, who is the person who's speaking these words? Why does she know anything? Well, she knows stuff because she's a human being, and many of these things, all of these things, we can all know. And I only pull from the common field, and I've added up my own integer. That's the only difference. And so we're going to be emphasizing as we talk every day two things. It's still going to be the psychology, our vibrational psychology, our eternal continuum of spin, and the winking in and the winking out, and the holographic nature and the fullness of space, and all of that. Will emphasize all of that. Extraterrestrial stuff, the genetic modification, I might say that every once in a while, but just like the cymatics, I don't have to say it every day. It's really not it's not so much a corner pin, although it actually does help the argument about it helps the argument of the fossil fuels and that they are keeping things from us. And I'm not saying that they're easy. So what's being kept from us? Go watch the movie The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. What's being kept from us is that over unity is possible. And people have invented over unity devices, and I'm going to tell you in a second what an over unity device is if you don't know what it is. Over unity is possible, and they've been keeping this from us. And we're not taught this in our educational system. It's not easy. I'm not saying that, just because. So if we knew it was possible, there would be more of us pursuing this. A few people have come up with things, and they have been stomped because those people that came up with things in their innocence, in their naivety, went straight to the patent office and said, I would like a patent on this, please, thinking that they were going to get an honest patent, and then they were going to go create this device, and then they were going to create for themselves an energy empire that they were going to be able to plug their energy into the grid, the existing grid, and make their billions and trillions of dollars too, along with the rest of the energy sector, which is obviously making so much money. And the fact is that that's not what's happening. What's happening is that these devices are being snatched off of the out of the public field in the name of national security. And you can almost see why, because we're idiots and we are violent and we don't understand who we are. And the first thing that anybody's going to do, what would have happened if David Koresh had over Unity devices along with his enormous arsenal of weaponry and whatnot? Well, what you have to do is you have to find the humanity between us, I suppose. If you're going to negotiate with a kingdom that is armed to the teeth, like Kim Jong Un, you don't want to have a little mini fiefdom in the center of your nation that is armed the way, because that's what makes a nation. That's the difference between just you got territory and you're armed to the teeth. So, how do we put all this together? Over Unity devices. What is an over Unity device? It's one that puts out more energy than it takes us to run it. That does not mean that it is creating energy out of nothing, which would be against some physics laws. But you don't have to worry about that because of the quantum field, because of the properties of the 0-point energy field. It turns out that there is almost unlimited energy everywhere. And what it is it is the Planck field interacting with itself. It's the jiggle of space-time as it transfers all of the information, large and small, across the scales, every Planck instant, through the frequency network of all of these energetic Plancks touching one another. Now, in the spaces where it appears where it looks like there isn't stuff, the Plancks are not organized. When the Plancks come into organization, the organization of the spin of the elements, every little proton is a spin, a little spinning vortex of this Planck ether, which has come into this, it's a little integer, a little black hole structure of information, a packet of information that is reflecting in its Planck field all of the rest of the protons and all of the rest of this integer universe. This fractal, integer, reflective, holographic, highly, highly energetic universe made of this Planck plasma, which can form into anything. It's like Legos. It's like cosmic Legos. And I have the entire set of information. I have the whole set of information. And you have the whole set of information. But the difference is I am going to iterate my authentic diversity from my position, from where I am standing on the grid, playing my avatar, using the laws of the universe, the way they work. That which is like unto itself is drawn. That's one. that gives you the what you put out is what you get back kind of thing. I am a transmitter and a receiver to this whole field that I am privy to the information of, because it's all vibrational and my inner being is in touch with all of it. And so interestingly, because she sits in a place where she has no resistance about any of the details of life, she knows that the whole project is great, wonderful, expanding, connected, free, unlimited. She knows all of that. And she's sitting in a very general place, knowing generally that all is freaking well. Now, if you want to go hyper focus in on a particular detail, that from that perspective on the grid, that detail is kind of outlying some other things that maybe are not as pleasing to you. If you want to do that, and make yourself feel very uncomfortable and leave your inner being and all she cares about far behind, you're welcome to do that. We are free. It's what we call free agency. We are all free to go 360 degrees, spherical degrees in any direction we want to. But when we choose a direction and go that way, how does it feel? If it feels good, if it feels great, it means you have hit a frequency that is in resonance with your greater self. Put on the gas. You are in good territory. And then when if ever it starts to feel bad, right at that point where it feels bad, right where that thought and that feel bad intersected, disconnect right there and find the spirit again, because the spirit is the only important part of this, people. The spirit that we are engaged in is the one. It's the one they lost in Germany, that Milton Mayer writes about when he talks about, the forms were all still there, reassuring in their familiarity. All of everything from the holidays and the homes and the visitations and the jobs and the songs and the everything. It was all the same. Now I'm not sure he said songs, but all of the forms were the same. But somewhere along the way, the spirit had changed, and somehow in the spirit changing, everything changed. And there's the lesson, people. That's the lesson, that that little thing that we did last century, that thing we called the World War, parts 1 and 2. That's what I've come to call it. I've decided that really it's close. That's closer to vibrationally the truth of what it was. If you start saying World War I and World War II, then you're tempted to think there might be World War III and World War IV. And I want to take that right out of the lexicon, because I don't think that that's actually what it was. It doesn't need to be that if we're smart enough to see what we put in our vortex when we did that. Oh, don't want that. Ooh, what does that mean we do want? Well, so what went wrong in that whole debacle? What went wrong in the World War? Parts 1 and 2. And I call it that because Hitler, who invited us to experience, the part 2 of that, he was very much motivated by everything from the First World War. He wasn't done fighting that one. When they surrendered and capitulated and then, humiliated themselves, prostrated themselves, accepted the whole guilt of all of World War I fell to Germany. And, when that happened, Hitler ground in his resolve, and his Loki energy, his demonic energy, his Shiva, organizing energy force from this negative self that he added up, drew the line, drew the conclusions, was so effing sure, and then acted on it with full throttle. That is the Antichrist. That is why we talk about the Antichrist. That's the Antichrist energy form, is what that is. And it organized a storm of chaos and destruction, of all of who we were. It ground into a meat grinder of incredible whatever. But the point I was making earlier, we don't have to do it again. That was the World War, parts 1 and 2, one and done, don't need to do another one. This is not an ordinal thing that's just going to go on and on and on because that's what people do. It demonstrated to us the problem with an us versus them paradigm, even when you're standing in the position of. So I think of myself as being one of team allies, team liberal, no, not team hard right conservative, authoritarian, strong man, law and order. I'm not that side of the equation. I'm the other side. I was the winner. We were the winners. We won the war. Although it's interesting, there are other angles you can take this from because, in a way, Russia won the war too. But what did they end up afterwards? They ended up with Stalin, for heaven's sakes. And so their experience of winning the war was not the same. I mean, I come at it from more of the liberal Democrat, open-minded, open, bleeding heart liberal. That's me. It is me. I say that it isn't me. Not quite the same way anymore because I realize that the us and them paradigm is the problem. The polarity itself in the field, our taking this thought form, the us versus them thought form, and overlaying it over the picture of the world that we see, and then perceiving each other as enemies and acting out of that. That's the problem. That's the problem. Now, it's easier to do when you're not the Nazi. It's easier to see, well, the us, we're the good guys. We're the, happy-go-lucky, dancing to the jitterbug, smiles on our faces, mom and apple pie, freedom for everybody, Bill of Rights, Constitution. That's us. We're the good guys. And those are the bad guys. Look how they're trying to master is the word, but that's not the word I want. They're subjugate the world. They want to shove their whatever down the throats of everyone, and there are those who are good and there are those who are bad, and the ones who are bad, we're getting rid of them. How can you abide that kind of a paradigm? Obviously, they are the problem. Well, they picked up the energy that was the problem, but I think we've got to depersonalize this more. It's really, the problem is not the individual that picked up the energy form and wielded it, although it is. Obviously, it is the problem, and it needs to be, this problem needs to be addressed at the personal level because the individuals need to understand what they're doing when they act on their own negative self, their own negative energy person. When you act on it, when you fight on it, when you feel on it, when you act on it, you bring it into the field of action. You bring it into the world of manifested reality. And it has there's an effect that it has on us, on the rest of us. Even if you're just flogging yourself, you have an effect when you drive your negative self into the common world around us. And so my whole show is just kind of helping us to understand our design, to sort of discourage us from going to our negative selves. And you know what? When you start understanding these principles and the way these energies move and how the focus and the attention, how thoughts turn to things, and how your focus and attention, and how the vibrational stance, the state of being that you are in as you address the physical world, is really more important than the specifics of the physical world that you are addressing. Although the important combination is that you take a wholesome vibrational standpoint and then address some point on the physical world that interests you, so that you can add to the pattern that we all are. That's what the whole point is. So you really need to do both, the specific and the general. But the state of being that you are in is more important than the form that you are looking at, as Milton Mayer discovered, as his people discovered, as they all held on to the form, thinking that the form was what was making their life what they enjoyed. The Germany that they loved, that fatherland, that, blessed, the beauty of the Alps, and the camaraderie that we have between us Teutonic master race people, and the songs and the great history that we are so proud of, and, or whatever it was. They thought that holding on to the forms, but then they looked around and it was like all the forms were the same, but the spirit had changed. And in the spirit changing, everything important had changed. And so I want to get us to our understanding of that, our deep understanding of that from our systems analysis standpoint, because things like our criminal justice system is not going to produce the order that we want it to. We are going to need to soothe one another into better behavior, love one another into better behavior, encourage one another to better behavior, educate one another to better behavior, soothe one another to our better higher self. You don't beat people into a better attitude, and the beatings will continue until morale improves. That old joke is funny because that beatings will never improve morale. And morale is what we need improving on. Better morale will produce better order, better behavior. We need to understand where and how we are naturally good, and where and how you can't trust us as far as you can throw us. Because it's both. But called to our higher selves, we can all be better trusted. And bashed down to our desperate, unconscious, our most desperate selves, we can't be trusted at all. If we are desperate and we can't feed our children, and we can't put a roof over our head, and we don't know how to be in this world, and we don't know what to do with our lives or any of that. If you happen to be someone who is anywhere in that position, then you might be doing desperate things, and desperate people doing desperate things they're not getting the best ideas. They're not acting from their highest self. And so as a culture, if we are a culture of people who are desperate, well, I don't want to be that way. I don't think we should be that way. Well, I don't think anybody else thinks we should be that way either. However, so how do you change it? How do you change it? You have to understand who you are, and what power you have to walk yourself out of your own personal wilderness. And then from that position, you align and cohere with the greater order around you in a natural way, in the way that pleases you the best, that suits your personality best. This thing that I'm doing, this Who Am I show, it's kind of me trying to keep up with myself so that I don't get old and ossify and calcify and turn into an old woman, rocking on the rocking chair saying, it used to be so much better back in the good old days, back when, whatever. It isn't. The world is expanding. It's more and more, and the young people of today are making it more and more. They keep getting born into the world with their non resistant viewpoints, and they add to this. We are beautiful, is what I'm saying. And there is so much beautiful. If you could learn how to focus, it's hard to focus on how beautiful we are if you're used to focusing on how crummy we are, because that is also true. That is also true. And the more whatever it is you're focusing on, and however you are feeling about whatever it is that you are focusing on, in a mysterious and magical way, you are driving, you are flying your starship into that. That's the direction you're going. And so that's how come Abraham says it's always completely and utterly changing. But it might be changing to more and more of the same thing, basically, because of the way you're looking. The spirit is the same. Whatever it is, the spirit of dead-endedness, or a spirit of stuckness, or a spirit of whatever spirit you are in, whatever energy that is, the way you are looking at the world, the machinery of this quantum change machine. It's a quantum fluxer. As it rolls through the manifestation, it's fluxing, fluxing, fluxing. The reason it's fluxing is because every Planck instant it's winking completely out and then winking completely back in. Every billions of times a second it is doing this. And the direction that it winks in, or because it isn't random how it winks back in, there is a guiding force, I believe, that is, and it's the way you're looking, the focus, your attention, your vibrational stance, your desire, the pull of your heart, of your bliss, pulling you in the direction of the energy because you want momentum in your life. This is me. I am a alignment or nothing kind of a person. I will sit still before I move on a negative momentum ever again. I sort of made that declaration to myself. Now, for a long time, I didn't have that luxury because I was raising children. I had a problematic husband. There was all kinds of things. Life was coming at me at a faster speed than I was able to take it completely positive. I was having a hard time processing it to the positive completely. I was frightened. I was angry. I was frustrated. I was starting to get pessimistic, about the way the order of things looked like it was going to shake out. I was getting really frightened about where this person was going to take us into experience that I didn't want to go. He was going to end up in prison for DWIs. He might have ended up in a Mexican prison had he not died on a Mexican road in a Mexican accident, car accident. And had he just killed the passenger, because both of them died, and we've got conflicting reports about who was driving. And maybe my husband was driving, or maybe he wasn't driving, and maybe he was drinking, or maybe he wasn't. But if he was drinking and driving and the other one died and he didn't, we'd still be visiting him in a Mexican prison. I was very frightened because my spidey sense, which can see things, that before they happen, which is how I avoid them, I saw that one coming, so I just went that way. I didn't need to. I didn't need to let that one play all the way out to have seen that coming. I can see them before they happen, and I could see this one. It was happening, and then he died, and then I had a different thing, a different gut punch, a different negative that I had to process for many years as I took him too literally, and I was still angry with him. I wanted to dig him up and kick his ass. That was an expression, a horrible expression I used to say because it was so horrible and funny. I thought it was funny. I wanted to ask him, were you driving? And if you were, I wanted to dig him up and kick his ass. But anyway, he bowed out of that, and then so now I was able to let the world get a little more still, but now you got kids and they don't ever let anything go still, and life's coming at you, and they have desires and they have questions, and you have to teach them about the world, and I didn't know what to teach them. I just fiercely tried to role model. I'm like, I'm just going to role model. I'm just going to do my thing. I'm just going to do my thing. I'm not going to tell them what to do. I'm just going to do what I do. I'm just going to do what I do. And it might be bearing fruit now, although for many, many years, it really wasn't getting my point across as well as I thought I wanted it to. And there are still things that I wish that they would take from my role modeling that they don't. You know, I'm I'm a better housekeeper, and there's a couple of things that I'm more on time than they are, and I wish that they would take some of my role modeling a little better. But honestly, you have to let everyone be who they are from where they are. Although it would be helpful if, as we grew, we were taught who we are to the group, who we are as powerful creators, how our equipment really works, what are the laws of the universe that do not change, the ones that you can count on. What should you be focusing on as you try to make your dreams come true, as you try to make your whatever your dreams are, your dreams of opening a business. That is what we do here in our country. We're very capitalistic, and everyone gets to have their idea about what they want to contribute to the greater picture. And honestly, it's getting pretty cool. There's so many things to pick from. You can pick from anything. You just have to get off your duff and pick something. Do something that pleases you, that agrees with you, that calls you, that interests you, that I might have already said that. You have to follow your bliss because it is your source energy. It's your link to the cord of us all, the cord of life that is reaching out, trying to tell you how to be one with the group, how to play nice with the group. It's listening to your inner being for sure. But since your inner being is standing in that place where there is no resistance, she's not worried about any details because she knows the whole picture is moving along nicely, is expanding nicely, will expand without resistance because there isn't any at that level. So what position is she standing in then? She's standing in the win-win-win-win-win-win-win position. The position where we all come together and we all get to win. Where we all get to be tired of all of that winning. Because the paradigm of the game is not win-lose. Although I have to tell you, if you believe the paradigm is win-lose and you play it like a win-lose, it will reflect back to you as though it is a win-lose, and you will believe that you are correct in your win-lose position. You will believe that you are correct. And you will also create lots and lots and lots and lots of losers all around us. And we actually don't want that. We want to find the win-win position, the place where all of our inner beings knows that all of us are cooperative components to a collective effort that we're all doing. as we are our superorganism self. We have a supply chain now. A supply chain that isn't just local within the little local tribe or within the local trading area, it's global. And we have how many different distribution services that will take your goods from here to there. Everything from FedEx to DHL to the USPS or UPS or all of the postal services of every nation who would then transport it across. We have a supply chain. And as such, you get to decide what you want to contribute to the human project. Are you an intellect or an academic? It turns out I kind of am. I'm an academic, more than I am, especially now. I mean, I'm a girl, and I'm an old girl too, by the way. I'm not all that young. In my picture on this, I found that on Pixabay. That is not me, by the way, and I'm not trying to say that that is any kind of depiction of me. I almost put a picture of myself up on my channel. And it was a lovely picture. I looked very friendly, and I'm smiling. I look really, like I'm just friendly. But but I don't want to make this personal. This is more of a mystical journey, this who am I thing. And the place that we're going to find is the place where we all are, not just where the place that I am with my ego project that I call who am I? Who am I? I am so wonderful and I know these things and you should listen to me because I want to be queen of the world, you know. That's not it. That's not it. I want to find the place where our inner beings meet, where what is best for me is also what's best for you, and it's best for all of us. And we can play together in a way that is more productive, more freedom producing, more beauty producing, more efficiency producing, more abundance producing, more life sustaining, more vibrationally in sync and in harmony with the rest of the field. Do you get it? That's the vibrational aspect I'm looking for. And so as such, I'm going to cut out the so much of the genetic modification talk, although it is interesting. I think it's interesting that that would be the aspect that they blew up on us, our emotions. Our emotions are worth a creation story. That someone would do that to us on purpose. Spock seems to think, Mr. Spock, not Dr. Spock, Mr. Spock from Star Trek seems to think that, that they approach it as though the emotions were something that evolved naturally, but that somehow they're illogical, and Vulcans have developed an ability to ignore them, to suppress them, to sublimate them, or whatever it is that Vulcans do to be so logical. I am logical, and I do not let my emotions, or whatever. I don't think that's what happened. I think somebody they pumped up our emotions on purpose because it is a blessed and miraculous cosmic vibration. It's like a woodwind instrument that sings to the universe. And that's really what it is. That's what our emotions are. And our negative emotions are like discordant tones, chaotic, clashing tones. And do they have those in symphonies? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. But the whole thing is about this beautiful music that. And how is it that it works this way? Well, the reason it works this way is this. You are, I like this. I got this one from Bashar, but I like this one because your inner being, your higher self, your inner being is giving you vibrational downloads as It's information about the reality of the field around you. It's what your imagination is. Your imagination is vibrational downloads that you're getting from your higher self. And how you are reading it, that's where it gets, colorful and um, personal and interesting. How come everyone's imagination is colored so differently? Because it has to do with how you are putting your information together and reading those vibrations you're getting from your higher self. So your higher self is the conceiver, the conceiver. Your physical brain is the receiver, and your physical conventional mind is the perceiver. So it's a unit. You're working in tandem with your greater vibrational self, which is reading the actual material world. Your spiritual self is your conduit to information and data flow from the physical world. Isn't that interesting? The angels aren't just off in heaven, in their own little spaces, playing harps and thinking non physical thoughts. Everything is right here, right now, with physicality, because that's what's important and that's what's interesting. Isn't that interesting? That's how come Abraham was always emphasizing this is the leading edge. This is the leading edge. This is what we're all interested in. This is the part of it that we are all interested in. Both physical and non-physical. And that's why all the non-physical consciousness and energies and everything is with you as you try to live your physical life. They aren't off doing something else. They are with you because the physicality is the leading edge. It's the rolling edge of the flexing manifestation as it moves from where it was to where it is to where it's going in this flow that you are part of. Isn't that interesting? So how do you get from where you are to where you want to be? How do you do that? Pay attention to how you feel, because your feelings are telling you whether or not your thoughts are resonating with your higher mind's thoughts or whether they are not resonating with your higher mind's thoughts. Now, if your thoughts are not resonating with what your higher mind's thoughts are, they may still be true. Yes, those people are indeed being very mean to those people over there. That is true. And so, but what it is by your focusing on that one aspect of that one thing that is getting under your skin, that is bothering you so much, it is keeping you from seeing a bigger picture where you go, oh, but that's what's really happening. I am this powerful creator made of the quantum field itself. Now, you could get all, what's the word for, hold on. We'll settle with delusions of grandeur from that position. You could get all that. But you also have to know that this powerful field thing that you are not in it by yourself. And your powers, although your powers to affect the field around you, they don't end at your skin. They go all the way out to the edge of the universe. The universe's power to affect you from the other direction goes all the way too. So you are a field phenomenon. You are not in this by yourself. Just in case you were going to get delusions of grandeur about how powerful and amazing you are. In actual fact, you can focus on the powerful and amazing that you are. That is all that you need to be, which is the power that you have. It's not as big a power as you might think that it is. um, on the one hand. And yet, if you would find your alignment with the actual reality of the field around you and get into alignment with its goals and its viewpoints, um, its sense of possibility and optimism and great ideas and new ways to connect, if you could get in on that beam, then your life goes better. Your individual life goes way, way better. And not only that, it's like Abraham says, those who are in alignment are more powerful than millions who are not. Because when you are in alignment, then you are in alignment with the desires of millions and hopefully billions. My desire is for joyful sustainability. That is my clear and single-minded focus in all of this. That is my intention. That's where I want to bend us in that direction, to help us understand how our inner beings are already helping us to build this vortex of creation that is everything that we have ever wanted is sitting in this vibrational escrow of that if we would just claim it, it's there. Claiming it means understanding who you are, understanding that all of the war that we have been engaged in for thousands of years has very clearly shown humanity how we want peace. We want peace. We want theme parks. We want restaurants. We want nightclubs. We want to play with each other. We want to eat with each other. We want to dance with each other. We want to make love to each other. We want to visit each other. We want to play golf with each other. We want to swim. Do you get the idea? That's what we want to do. We are the playful otters of the universe. And if we would see that in ourselves and emphasize it in each other and bring it out in ourselves and each other and lean that direction, we could create a humanity and a planet that is just unbelievably wonderful and fun and joyfully sustainable and all that. What do I think is the number one thing we've got to do to get back on track to that happening naturally, to that expansion happening naturally? We've got to get off fossil fuel. We have got to get off fossil fuel. That's not just something that the rest of humanity can just kind of, the energy sector, they're working on that. I hear, every once in a while, I hear clean fusion. Isn't that the one they're working on? That's not it, people. Because that's still a paradigm where an enormous percentage of the energy itself is lost from the point of where it's generated to where it's harnessed and then sent through wires out to infrastructure and charged to customers. By the time that happens, and then it's only paying customers that get that power, what happens to the people on the edge of the Sahara still cutting down whatever little bit of scrub manages to cling to life in order to cook their food, because that's the only kind of power they've got? Clean fusion isn't going to help them. And it still creates this top-down, centralized political power structure that we've got to dismantle, because it is just not acceptable that the United States is poised to, elect a leader that's going to lead an empire that has the kind of military firepower, and it has a choice between an autocratic mob boss king of the world wannabe and someone who, I mean, I'm sure that she's perfectly delightful, and I'm absolutely going to vote for her. But do I imagine in my wildest dreams that voting for the status quo of everything from the energy system to the powers to the um, um, economic system to the it, do I think that that's going to like fix anything, or I think it's going to keep us out of war. I think it's going to keep the power out of the direct hands of Loki or Shiva or, the demons who will. Yes. Do I still think we need to understand who we are? Absolutely. Absolutely, we need to understand who we are because these energies are still playing out. Call it what you want, it still turns into an emperor. Whether you call it a pharaoh, or whether you call it a president, or whether you call it it doesn't matter what you call it. Vibrationally, we shake out the same way every time. And the reason that we put the laws in place is because it's kind of a roadblock, a slowing down like rumble strips or something to get us to slow down this careening into this energy pattern that we always do. And part of it involves an idea that my friend who I've never met and who does not know me, he sent me an email once, and he hoped that I liked his book that I had ordered that I couldn't figure out how to download. His idea is, and it's not really his idea, he takes it from a Native American idea. I wish we had an expression like I like the way Canada uses their. They don't say Native Canadian or Native American. Even they say First Nation, and I like that. But this is kind of a First Nations concept. The idea of Wetiko. Now it's said in different ways in different tribes, and sometimes you see it as the mythological monster of the Wendigo. It's related to that concept, but what it is it's a psychic blindness. It's a quantum field phenomenon of the energies. How and what I the way I see it is what I think it is we are all right. Every one of us is correct because all it is a light on a grid and a perspective. And so, whatever it is you're looking at, in a way, it's absolutely correct and no one can argue with you. And so, you are right. But if you're standing in a position where you are saying, I am right and you are wrong, then in a way, your rightness has kind of turned wrong. Um, it is the same thing as the analogy of the blind men and the elephant, each of them describing an aspect of where they are standing around the elephant, like a sail, like a rope, like a snake, like a wall, like a tree. All of that. It's just like that, except for if the blind men are adding up their aspects, trying to come to a mutual understanding of what this elephant is, then they are right, and each one of them in their position is right. If they start arguing about it and they say, I'm right and you're wrong, it's a blindness. It's a blindness. And the funny thing is that the people who make that stand, they are so adamant that they are right and the other person is wrong. Way more than the people who know that everyone is right, they're contented to sit back and watch the whole thing, play out and act appropriately, jump in, whatever. The ones who think that they are right and everyone else is wrong, they have a special kind of momentum behind them. And this is exactly the incredibly demonic momentum that Hitler ended up with, you know? as he did this I'm right and everyone else is effing wrong and only I can fix this. And so everyone needs to swear allegiance to me and I will make this run properly. And for just about a half a minute, it almost looked like he did. At least from some perspectives, it was never good from a Jewish perspective. Because part of the engine of what he ran on from the beginning was that aggression towards Jewish people. But some other people, they got jobs. Germany was at full employment way before the rest of the world was in during the Depression. The rest of the world was still deeply in the depression of the 30s when Germany was hard at work building the Autobahn and building this and that and the other thing. Everybody was back to work. And so it appeared, Hitler could point at what he was doing and say, look at how my system works so much better than yours. You guys still have all kinds of poverty and it doesn't matter if it's only working for the German people, the master race part, and the lesser people, they don't matter anyway. So anyway, it's no real secret as to why he was so wrong, why it didn't work out for him. And he didn't lock into any kind of sustainable pattern where he could lock the people into any sort of... Kim Jong-un seems to have found a way to keep things locked in. I wonder what's actually happening there, really. It would be very, very interesting to see how it's playing out on the inside of North Korea. Do I think that the inside will break into from... Yes, someday. But it's not going to come in. Nobody's going to come in and convince Kim Jong-un he's wrong. And in a way, Kim Jong-un is not wrong. In a way, he's horribly wrong. And so don't quote me. Don't take that out of context. She said Kim Jong-un was not wrong. No, of course, he's obviously very wrong. But there is an aspect of all of us that is deeply, profoundly right. Even the very wrongest of us have a place where we are profoundly right. Now, the problem with people who are wrong is they're focusing on where everybody else is wrong and not really understanding where they and everyone else is right. I learned this when I was married to my train wreck of an alcoholic husband, because he knew where he was an F up. He knew where he was wrong. He did not know where he was good. He did not know where he was right. He needed someone to focus on his light, on his soul, on his true self, and help that and only that be born into the world. He needed somebody to help him do that. I did not understand the task at the time, and I kept being distracted by how terrible he was being for us and his family in the outside world. I kept focusing on that, and unfortunately, that's what I kept getting more of. And yes, his behavior was my fault. And no, his behavior was not my fault at all. We all drive our own ships in our own, we are all responsible for our own journey. But the way we focus is what is giving us the world around us. And if you are focusing on the demonic aspects of the people around us, you have a tendency of making those demonic aspects larger. It's just a fact. What you focus on, what you think about, that's what you get. And so if you're focusing on where people are letting you down, if you focus on what you wish you had that you don't have, if you focus on how they just stepped on your foot, or how, what the hell is wrong with you? If you're focused that way, that's what you keep getting more of. Now, you can see it without focusing on it. I see you, but that's not what I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on how you tried this morning. You tried. You tried to make breakfast. You may have burned everything, and you may have, gotten frustrated and, stomped off. But you know what? What I notice is that you tried this morning. And then they go, oh, yeah, I did try. And then I got frustrated and I let my negative self carry me away. But thank you for noticing my good self and help me find it. We need to help each other find our good self because we are good. We are good. We are good. We are good. And am I saying that from a naive position? Absolutely not. Are we horrible? Yes. Are we wonderful? Yes! You see how I made that one just a little bit bigger? They're both true. What do you want to what do you want to bring forward into reality? That's the choice maker that you are. What do you want to bring into the world? Who are you? And what are you focusing on? Are you focusing on the love? Are you focusing on where we're connected to one another, where we're all in this together, and we all do better when we all do better, and what we all like to do? And so as you think about your ideas about what you want to create as a business or something, think about something fun. Think about something that other people would like. Think about things that would employ more than, and as you think about it, get excited about thinking about how the families are going to be taken care of. And get all of your intentions set first. Have your intentions set and set them clearly. And don't be concerned particularly at first about how it's going to connect to the physical world. Your inner being's going to help you step in at the right place and find your demographic, find your position, your business, your calling, whatever it is. Follow the light inside of you. What do you care about? Because you caring about things is your inner being caring about things. And if you find the win-win position in there, your inner being's caring about stuff is complementary to what everyone else's inner being cares about. We all want this. We all want to play nice and fun in a re-gardened Eden. Why do most of us not move that direction? Because we're looking at what we've got. We think that it's not possible where we want to go because look at what we've got. Well, this is where we'd like to go, but look at what we've got. I've been taught that what we've got is primary. It's the physicality is primary. My people focus primarily on physicality because we have learned to focus on the physical world. We did that when we parted ways, when church and science parted ways. Now you've got the physical world, that's the real world. And then you've got the spiritual world. Well, we talk about that once a week in church for about an hour. I shake hands with my fellow man, and then at Christmas time, I hug them. Other than that, it's all business. It's all real world, physical world, real world. That's what I'm focusing on because that's what's primary. Guess what? The physical world isn't the primary one. It's the secondary one. So if you want the physical world to turn out properly, you've got to set your vibrational form up properly first. It's the most important part of your equation. And then just let the materiality play out. Who cares exactly what it looks like as long as it's fun, it's friendly, it's beautiful, it's orderly, it's life-sustaining. Who cares whether it's green or blue? Yeah, but my favorite color is blue and I don't like green, or, don't get caught up in minutia. Stay in the spirit, in the vibrational place. And then from that position start directing the specifics of the form that you want to see. Now the universe is going to cooperate with you a lot more. You're not in conflict with the rest of the field around you. You're in flow with the rest of the field around you, and you might be able to find cooperative components everywhere to all of your desires. You know? At least that's my theory. I think this is the way it works. Now, I'm still hermetized. I don't have a lot of cooperative components, although somewhere along the line, I believe that when I need more physical cooperative components, I will call out for them and the universe will bring them to me. Right now, I'm struggling with my eyesight a little bit, trying to figure out how to find my way to the clarity of better eyesight. In the meantime, I'm assuming, because I have to work these formulas just the same way you do, things are always working out for me. So even if my house just burned down, things are always working out for me. So how does that work? So even if I'm going blind, things are always working out for me. So what's happening as my eyesight on the outside shuts down a little bit, my inner eye opens up a bit and my mind's eye sees more, and it's like, wow, okay, all right, I can deal with this. And that's okay for now. I still am not I'm not stuck that direction though, people. I'm perfectly willing to get my eyesight back. I have Stargardt's disease, which is there's a genetic component to this. Now, only 25% of the people with the genetic marker develop the disease, so I know that it's not the genes have not caused this disease, but this combination of everything has brought me to a point where I have a kind of sticky, tacky buildup of non-metabolized vitamin A byproduct something or other. I'm advised not to eat a lot of or take vitamin A supplements or beta carotene or anything like that. Because I'm not metabolizing it properly, and I get this sticky residue on the back of my macula, and it's affecting my vision. It's kind of messing with it a bit. It's not like age-related wet or dry macular degeneration, although I don't know what it looks like when you have those diseases, so there may be a relationship between, the fields of vision that I'm losing. I maintain hope that it can still be remedied. I've heard that somebody's working on the idea of how to break up the residue on the back of the macula to clear it back up so that I have a clear field of vision, so that light hits the back there and then I can see it more clearly. But I have to, if I lose my vision, then I've just got to figure that somehow that's serving me. And if I spend all my time staring at what I cannot see and banging the drum of how sad that is, instead of getting busy trying to figure out what the universe is trying to show me through my blindness, through my outward blindness, then I get my inner sight or something like that. It's all formulas. Things are always working out for me. My true self is my positive self, and I've just got to go find her. Yes, I have reactions to things in my physical world, things that I don't like so much. And I react to them with negative emotion just like anybody else. I have things that I prefer. I get sad when my children have things that go wrong with their lives, and I would like to help them figure out how to, turn things in better directions. I would like more wealth in my life. We are comfortable, but I would like to be wealthy. And I am not wealthy. And here I am trying to teach the law of attraction and, the rules of manifestation, when I myself have not learned how to manifest $1 jillion yet. Well, I'll tell you what, though. I have manifested what I have found most important to me. I have manifested that, and I don't have a problem with it. I have a loving, kind, supportive, relationship with someone who has been trainable to get to the point where he is almost completely neutral to positive. Now, he's largely neutral a lot of the time, but he's rarely negative and does not have very much momentum going in a negative direction. And so he's like a neutral, like a beige background over there. I cannot blame him for anything in my life. I can't say, um, oh, I could have been a success if only my husband had been more supportive. If only he had not done. There's. I cannot point to anything. It would be just me not following my path. That would be the only reason why things would not work out, because he's not resistant over there. He's not resisting anything I'm doing. Not from my Who Am I show. I've talked about wanting to maybe do I want to give public speeches. I want to talk to human beings about this. And I would like them to pay for my travel as I do it. Wouldn't that be great? I don't know how that would work, and I'm not going to worry about whether even if it does. I can pay for my own travel for now, and we need to work on my husband's back getting better before we can travel anyway. We have a trip we're taking in about 4 weeks. A little less than 4 weeks now, maybe. We're going to Bandon Dunes, Oregon. My husband wants to play the golf course there. And, we have to follow you have a desire, you have a belief about that desire, you move in the direction of that desire, and that's what feels satisfying. And you can learn to do it in little ways. I try to do it in little ways around my property, as I try to improve things. But I want to find bigger desires. My biggest desire is what I follow in this show: joyful sustainability for humanity itself. Us getting off of fossil fuel. Let's quit killing the planet. Let's start the seventh Renaissance, post sixth mass extinction. Let's have the seventh Renaissance, the resurgence of life, co-created by humanity instead of. How are we going to do that? We have to get off fossil fuels, and we're not going to just get off of fossil fuels by implementing a program of extreme austerity, as we quit using the fossil fuels. No, no, no. The way we're going to get off fossil fuels is we're going to get on to source energy. We're going to understand what the source of all motion, all reality, the fluxing, rolling manifestation that we are a part of. It's sort of like me calling the universe a rolling manifestation would be almost like my cells calling my body a rolling manifestation. The body continues, but cells fall away. But the body continues. And that's kind of what's happening in the universe. And we are part of that body. And I also think that in a really cool way, when we understand this all the way down to the vibrational ground, that's when you get the ticket to go explore the galaxy, the universe. Because when you understand the actual nature of the rolling manifestation and the holographic nature of the vibrational frequencies that are all playing at the same time, and you are choosing experience in different places, and the way to travel from here to there is not to go the long way around. The shortest distance between 2 points is not a straight line. That's through the physical world. But there's a different way to go. The shortest distance between 2 points is go to the point that both of them share, where all the information is right there without having to go anywhere. Isn't that interesting? And with that, I realize I have made it to 1 hour and 29 minutes. I have not changed the screen. This one I call it Hobbitscape. I don't know why that actually does not look like hobbit holes. But I like the way they're covered with moss, and there's a little rabbit in front. And there's a chicken or something in front too, pecking away, and a hedgehog over to the right. It's just peaceful. I got a little frog. I like to have backgrounds that don't distract me overly much as I speak of the things I want to speak about. Sometimes I bring my other slides in. And if you are new to the show and you happen just to find it from this whatever, go check out my other ones. Go check out earlier ones too. I had a different style earlier in the year. I have some 140 some videos that I have been posting. I posted for months and months and months without, I kind of was hidden. I didn't describe my video with a description of my video. It was my playlist. The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. The Connected Universe. That's the movie made about Nassim Haramein and his unification of the quantum and cosmological worlds through mathematics and the scaling and all of that, how a proton relates to a universe, how they're both black holes, and their scales of information flowing across, whatever. That movie, narrated by Patrick Stewart, very good movie, and it's free over on YouTube. Well, we are on YouTube, so it's free on YouTube. Then there's Quantum Revolution. That's Nassim's show over on Gaia, this 12-part video series talking about describing in layman's terms the shape of our universe, how everything actually does relate, the spinning fullness of space-time and the holographic nature and the black hole structure and the new model of the Big Bang and the feed-forward feedback that leads right to the explanation of consciousness and the universe, how it's learning. This toggle switch, yes, no. You get a yes, no answer from this pinging energy from the universe. You get and that's all you need. Yes, no, that's all you need. Without it, it would take billions and billions and billions of years to solve something as simple as a Rubik's Cube. With something as simple as a yes-no toggle, you can solve that Rubik's Cube in less than 2 minutes by making one move every... actually, I can't remember. One move every second? One move every second. And if you don't have any feedback and you're just making moves randomly, it'll take you billions of years. We wouldn't have solved the Rubik's Cube yet, here in this universe. So it's that toggle switch idea, that fear, love, that growth, protection, it all adds up. It all adds up. Who am I? Who am I in all of this? And how do I make my way? How do I make my choices? How do I pick my business? How do I find my mate? How do I know what to major in college? How do I take all of this information and use it to live my life? Well, first of all, know that vibration comes first. We are vibrational beings in a vibrational universe, and your inner being is telling you which direction for you to go. And she's telling you that by virtue of how you feel. Now, don't be so sure that the thoughts that you have are an accurate reflection of true reality out there. If you have a thought and that thought feels bad when you think it, spit it out. It's like biting into a bad tasting bug or something. It may be real, but you don't want to, it's not in resonance with who you are. It's not where your inner being is trying to guide you to go. You have a vibrational energetic inner being aspect of you that is you. It's actually not only is it you, it's the most important part of the you that you are. That inner being aspect, it's the fire of your desire. It's the fire of your life. It's the energy pulling you forward and joining you into the flow of the rest of the group. It is the most, it not only is your vibrational aspect, not only is it you, it's the only real part of you that exists. Pay attention to her. Pay attention to what she's telling you. Pay attention to her images that she's feeding you from your imagination, your vibrational data flow you're getting from the rest of the greater field is your imagination. Pay attention to all of that. Honor who you are. Be authentically who you are from where you are. The world needs you. The world needs you to be who you are where you are. From your highest position, by the way. So go find your highest self. Go find your positive self and be your positive self from your positive position. That's what the world needs. All of the things that you have noticed from your negative position, ooh, don't like that. Ooh, don't prefer that. Ooh, hate it when people are mean. Oh, don't like it. No, all of that stuff, it's all valid. But now approach that same thing from your higher self. And let's make this world a better place. Let's not just grouse about where it's off. Focus on what you want. Focus on what you want. Focus on what you want. And make sure that you remember that the spirit of the thing is the most important aspect of it, because we live in a vibrational universe. That spirit is the most important thing. If you focus on the form and you let go of the spirit, you might end up as Milton Mayer, sitting in the middle of the Third Reich going, what the hell happened? We were all looking at the forms, and somehow something really important shifted out from under us. That's what we need to pay attention to. That's what your inner being is most concerned about. And the physicality of the universe will have a way of, it'll work out. We just have to make sure that the spirit of it stays in that open-minded, open-hearted, optimistic, eager, interested, loving, kind, soothing, supportive place. We've got to soothe each other into better behavior, not punish each other into better behavior. And those who are behaving the worst, they're the ones that need the most re-education. They need to be brought back into the flock of the heart of humanity and show them who we really are and what Project Who Am I and Project Humanity really is. That's what that all is. So, anyway, is that all I have to say for the day? I almost didn't come in and do it again. I will take a day off. There will be a day where you're going to look for a show and you're going to be like, where is she? She didn't do a show today. Well, I'm going to sleep in, or there's something's going to happen. And I'm going to take a day off. And it's going to be okay. I'm going to give myself a permission slip to do that. Almost did it today, and yet almost 5 o'clock, I couldn't help myself, and here I am. I lay in bed and I'm like, what am I going to talk about? I've already said everything. Anyway, who am I? Who am I? Who are we? And what are we doing here on planet Earth? We are here to love each other. We are here to know each other. We are here to know ourselves. And learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. It really is. I mean, she said it in that song, and it almost sounded trite at some point, but it's true. learning to love yourself, because that feeling of inadequacy, what do I have to share with the world? It's what tries to hold us back. But the world needs every one of us. And the world needs every one of us to be our authentic selves, to take our appropriate impulses from our source energy position. Only you can call your life, because only you can hear the call of source the way it sounds from where you're standing on the grid. That's why no one else can call your shots. That's why we cannot live anymore from a top-down order where the law or whatever says what we have to. I mean, the law can be used as guidelines and rules, and certainly we don't. It is true. We don't want people stealing from each other, and we don't want people killing each other and beating each other up and all that stuff. But we should be behaving in that orderly way, not because the law says so, and if we don't do it, then the law will punish us even more, but because from our alignment, we actually are more loving and kind and supportive and understanding and easy on each other, and we don't beat each other up, and we don't take each other's things, and we don't murder each other. And so, anyway, time of the Spirit, people, time of the Spirit. The time of the law is passing, just like in the time of the Old Testament, passing through to give way to the Spirit of the New Testament and the teachings of the Christ, who had his teachings of we're all in this together and we need to love each other, and they cannot keep you from it if you'll lock your eyes on what you want. I think Jesus probably taught things like that. There is nothing that can get in the way, that can get in between you and where you really need to go. No one can get in the way of that, because it comes from a connection within you between your two selves, between your vibrational greater self, who you really are. You don't always, you're not always aware of that one, and sometimes in your awareness you call it something else. You call it God, or you call it, sometimes you might call it the Holy Ghost or the Holy Spirit, which is closer. God implies that it's an otherness. I use the G word. Actually, I don't use the G word much. I use an A word, the Almighty. I like that one because it seems vibrationally more correct to me, as it refers to the allness that we all share participation in. The Almighty that we are all a part of, each in our own way, from our own direction, from our own unique position on the grid. That's who we are. And that's what the G, anyway, da-da-da-da-da. Yada, 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 yada. I will come back tomorrow, and maybe I won't. What is tomorrow? Tomorrow is Friday. I hope to play golf again tomorrow. We played golf yesterday, and I didn't do too bad. We hadn't played for 3 weeks because my husband's back was so out. He couldn't manage it. But we managed it. We played 9 holes, and I had some spectacularly good shots. I had some terrible shots, and by the end of the 9 holes, my focus was gone, and I could not keep a grip on my... but it was fun, and we might do it again tomorrow. And I may or may not come back and do the show. We'll see. In any case, I have, like I said, 140 some shows behind. If you are interested in my work, just go to my channel, click on my videos, and then you could pluck one from earlier on just to see where I was maybe 6 months ago, and then 3 months ago, and then 2 months ago, and then last month, and then last week, and then yesterday, and then whatever you haven't seen. It's a progression. I've been discussing the same topic. I pull from my teachers, And I have current one. The reason I like Bashar and Abraham so much is because they are so abstract. They're abstracted out of it, just like mathematics is abstracted out of the puzzle. And you're looking at an impersonal framework, a skeletal framework that is common to the group without it being personal. You know, I like Wayne Dyer and people like that, but he gets all misty and holy and spiritual, and some people that they respond to that more. I personally like the matter of fact tone about it. I like the mathematical abstractions of Abraham and Bashar and the laws of the universe, and thinking in terms of the law of attraction and momentum and the structure of space time and how it interacts with itself and each other, and how consciousness plays into that, and how my individual personal life then plays into all of that framework. That's what I like to look at. And I just have to live with the fact that I want to look at that. I like looking at it that way, and that's kind of where I base the show. You know, who am I? Who am I from this abstract, perceptual, mathematical structure? And how does my understanding of that help me work the formulas of my life? The formulas like, well, things are always working out for me, so how does that fit in? And when I'm in a negative state, it means I'm facing backwards, and so I need to get myself turned back around before I act. And how does that fit into the equation? And let's see, momentum. Every X number of seconds, if I stay on one thought, the universe is going to start handing me more that lie on the same vibrational frequency, and so the momentum of whatever thought I have chosen is going to start growing, and I'm going to have to deal with that. Now, which ones, what have I done? Am I on a positive thought or a negative one? Now, okay, so I'm in a positive one. Now, okay, now I can look around and go specific somewhere because I'm in a good state. And if I can find something to be specific about, it's going to go well for me. Especially, I have to be interested in it. I have to be playful about it. And then things just start rolling. That's the way these formulas work. Play goes to clay. If you have a playful attitude about life, then it's malleable and it's agreeable and it's friendly, and you can form it into shapes more pleasing to thine eye. And if you take it all seriously, if you're way too serious about it, then it starts hardening and crusting up and becoming rigid and immutable in forms, in harsh forms that are not pleasing, that you can tell, that you can feel vibrationally. I can feel this is going someplace I do not want to go. Just pay attention to how you feel. Your inner being is speaking to you all the time, vibrationally, and she is thinking her thoughts, and her thoughts are general, and they are expansive, and they are joyful and joyous. Find where she is and think in alignment with her, and your life will go smooth. There. Done and dusted. Figured out the problems of the world. I'll be back tomorrow to do it again, maybe. Or at least within the next couple of days, you'll see. I'll keep doing this. I can't stop. It's where I'm expressing myself, where even if my family does not listen to me, I know the universe hears me. I know the universe hears me. And my family does listen to me. I mean, I don't want to beat them over the head with it. They're like, could you give it a rest for a minute and just like look at what we're looking at in front of us, and quit telling us, you know, how this lesson applies to all the rest of the universe, and how if everybody could get this alignment, that would you just give it a rest? And so I can't lay this on people. So I'll do this show instead because it's fun. I enjoy it. Other people get stuff out of it. They enjoy it too. It's a win-win-win-win. Remember, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the win-win-win-win position. First, do no harm. Then look for the win-win. And you'll find cooperative components everywhere. And that's the thought I'm going to leave you with. And so until tomorrow or the next day or whenever it is I do come back, do your best, love each other. You're doing very, very well. Things are always working out for you. And until next time, may the source be with you.